Hello, I am Sejal from Ahmedabad, Gujarat. I have recently completed my bachelor's and have further plans for my master's education. I am fond of listening to music and exploring places whenever I am free, which is the main reason I have further plans to pursue my master's from the foreign nations. For the same, I am also learning English language currently. When we recycle, used materials are converted into new products, reducing the need to consume natural resources. If used materials are not recycled, new products are made by extracting fresh, raw material from the earth through mining and forestry. Recycling helps conserve important raw materials and protects natural habitats for the future. Despite many similarities with literary political debates in other nations, there are also ways in which the cultural and political situation in Scotland has left the study of Scottish literature in a significantly different condition from that of literary studies in many other parts of the world. The findings of modern research support the view that the evolution of primitive man and his culture should be regarded as a unity, yet this unity is exceedingly complex and future research will doubtless enable us to make finer distinctions between the periods and peoples that composed it. Argument classes are taught in college because they improve students' ability to read, think critically, and write or speak about significant problems and issues that have social consequences. These abilities are routinely identified by college faculty and the general public as crucial competencies for college graduates. We know about bacteria, viruses, and microscopic protozoa. We can watch the way that these tiny agents move into our bodies and damage our organs. We have a growing understanding of how our body mounts defensive strategies that fight off these invaders and have built some clever chemicals that can help mount an assault on these biovillains. Don't miss the very beginning of a lecture, since that is often the most valuable part, for instance, because it reviews previous lectures or outlines objectives and lecture structures. If you easily get distracted by other students, sit near the front. We seek to improve learners' experience of education at college and help them to aspire, achieve and progress. We must embed equality and diversity in everything we do, both as a provider and an employer. We hope to prepare our students for work, higher education and citizenship by equipping our staff with the skills to meet this agenda. Student health and counseling services includes male and female staff from a variety of backgrounds such as clinical psychology, educational psychology and social work. All counselors are trained at the master or doctoral level and are registered with their professional organizations.
On behalf of our department, thank you for your participation.
On behalf of our department, thank you for your participation.
I took everything to the copy center this morning before class.
I took everything to the copy center this morning before class.
The old equipment is around the back of the building.
The old equipment is around at the back of the building.
Students may not use calculators in the final exam.
Students may not use calculators in the final exams.
I don't understand what this comment on my essay means at all.
I don't understand what this comment on my essay means at all.
That country's economy is based primarily on tourism.
That country's economy is based primarily on tourism.
Making a profit and protecting the environment needn't be separate aims.
Making a profit and protecting the environment needn't be separate aims.
A balanced diet will help you study more effectively.
A balanced diet will help you study more effectively.
The department runs a compulsory statistics course for all first-year students.
The department runs a compulsory statistic course for all the first-year students.
Flexibility is a key feature of our courses and study options.
Flexibility is a key feature of our courses and study options.
The complete reading list will be sent by email later.
The complete reading list will be sent by email later.
This small Indian state is a land of forested valleys and snowy highlands.
The small Indian state is a land of forested valleys and snowy highlands. The pie chart shows the student enrollment in different subjects according to the faculty, where the subjects are art, liberal studies, science, engineering, business studies, maths, education, medicine and law. Among all the subjects, medicine comprises of the minimal percentage, that is 3%, law of 4%, and the other maths, business studies and education remains 8 to 12% respectively. In conclusion, art, liberal studies and science comprises of 25% and engineering goes with 15%. The line graph shows annual percentage change in different house prices for the year September 2005 till the year September 2008. The data is given in percentage. In the beginning from September 2005 till September 2006, the data was increasingly in order up to 5%, but then after the May 2007, the data started on fluctuating and decreasing. In conclusion, by the year September 2008, the data was in minus 15%. The bar graph shows sports participation in Singapore for two different categories of male and female. The data is given in the percentage value for 5 different years, that is 2001, 2005, 2011, 2014 and 2015. In the beginning of the year 2001, the female comprises of the least ratio, that is 32%, and the male comprised of least ratio 45%. In the other years, females had been the lowest in terms of percentage compared to male, other than the year for 2014. The bar chart shows the diameter of different planets in the universe in kilometers. Comparing in the size of the diameters, Mercury comprises of the least among all the planets. Pluto also comprises the least among all the planets, but Saturn and Jupiter comprises the highest size in among all the planets. Jupiter has around 150,000 kilometer of the size, whereas the least Pluto has around 100 kilometer of the diameter among all the planets.
Should we actually take action in terms of how our elections are organised to make sure that more female politicians are elected? Many countries do this. Many political parties do this, particularly social democratic parties in Western Europe. But this isn't an easy answer. There are two reasons for this. The first reason why it's difficult to actually impose rules that allow more women to achieve office is that it is essentially undemocratic. In other words, we are saying we're going to intervene in the democratic process to make sure that more women are in office. And the second reason is it's attempting to fix the consequence rather than the causes. In other words, should we be spending our time and our energies actually tackling the structural inequalities and prejudices that lead to these outcomes?
In the lecture, the speaker talks about why women has been elected as a politicians and the roles of women in politics. Many political parties do this, particularly social democratic rule, especially in Western Europe, because the first reason is women has to be in the office, whereas in the other words we can also say that it can be helpful in women's empowerment and can spend more time and energy tackling structural inequalities and spreading prejudice among the people.
Okay, so I will be talking about language and the brain. And the main point that I want to get over to you today is that When we think about language, and we think about language from the perspective of people who are born severely or profoundly deaf, and those who use sign language, then it encourages us to take a much broader perspective of language processing. So up until about 15 years ago, language researchers took a very, what we might call, audiocentric view of language processing, focusing predominantly on auditory speech. But now it's much more accepted and acknowledged that we get a lot of information, useful, important information about language and communication through the eyes as well as the ears. So for hearing people, language is better thought of as multimodal. So even as hearing people, we are often very reliant on visual speech. So if you think about communicating with friends in a noisy pub, if you can see their faces, then it's a lot easier than if you can't see their faces. We also get a lot of information from gesture when we're talking to people, and we also access spoken language visually when it's written down in text, because that's what text is. It's a visual representation of spoken language.
In the lecture, the speaker talks about the language and the brain from the perspective of people who are born severely or profoundly deaf. Furthermore, she also added on to the lecture that about 15 years ago, when language researchers took an audiocentric view focusing predominantly on the auditorial speech and communication, it is possible through eyes and ears. Lastly, she also mentioned that one can access spoken language visually even in a noisy pubs. So languages has been the multimodal to the deaf ones.
A new lecturer is arriving later this week on Wednesday. If today is Tuesday, when will they arrive? Today? Tomorrow? Or next week?
Tomorrow.
What does ice do when you heat it?
Melt.
What is the word for the money you must pay if you drive too fast or you park your car illegally?
Penalty.
What do we call the drawings or pictures in a book?
Visuals.
What do you call the small electronic devices that people wear to listen to music?
iPod.
What do you call the storyline or the main series of events of a novel, movie, short story, or play?
Summary.